Hello, everyone. Welcome to Psych Space. Today, we have brought to you the topic of nurturing caregiver mental health. Today, we have Ms. Yeja Chaudhary and Ms. Alankita Sekia. So, a brief introduction on both our speakers. Ms. Yeja Chaudhary has been a mental health enthusiast since a very young age and is known for her being vocal about her journey with body image issues as a storyteller in various social media platforms and podcasts. She has done her master's in clinical psychology from Christ University and is currently working as a psychologist in PsychSpace. And Ms. Alankita Saikia completed her master's in applied psychology from Nerim Group of Institutions. With her specialization was in clinical psychology. She was also a great teacher in psychology at Dimension Senior Secondary School, Tejpur. She's currently working as a psychologist in PsychSpace as well. Without further ado, let's dive straight into the topic of nurturing caregiver mental health. And we shall do this by asking some questions. And the first question of the evening is, how does caregiving impact the mental health of individuals?
First of all, Anshuman, thank you so much for the introduction. That was lovely. And yes, when we talk about like the part that we say, the word that we say, caregiver, we always like let's just first try to understand what is the word as a caregiver. So caregiver is basically someone who assist and who provide needs to other people who are in need of certain help or like certain assistance in their day-to-day life. So when we talk about being a caregiver, when someone plays a role of a caregiver with giving care to someone, there comes a lot of pressure, and there comes a lot of expectations, like will I be able to look up to that person, will I be able to give a proper care and nurture to that patient, to the person. So a caregiver can be anyone. It can be someone who is a family member, it can be a friend, it can even be a professional caregiver like the mental health people or the doctors, the nurses. It can be anyone. So when we talk about the caregiver community, we always tend to neglect their own mental health, their own struggle being a caregiver. So when we look into the life of the person of the life or the person who is giving care to other people, we always research and studies have shown that caregiving does impact their mental health to a different extent. As in, if we talk about the highest impact that has been seen in caregivers is the level of stress and burnout. They are in this constant pressure of expectations of fulfilling the needs and giving that constant support and assistance to someone, where at some point in their life they are neglecting themselves and their needs. So there is a high level of stress in their day-to-day life. And we all know that if there is a prolonged stress, then there will be a point where the person is more prone to reach burnout quickly, or will reach a level of burnout soon. So keeping that in mind, we see stress and burnout to be like the ultimate impact that every caregiver goes through in their life. The other thing is that people who work in this industry or who are playing the role of a caregiver also tend to feel a lot of isolation and loneliness, because on day to day life, as I mentioned before, there is a certain level of neglect in their own needs and in their own self care. And when you have to take care of yourself and the other person on a daily basis, there comes a point where you are not being able to where you're not being able to fulfill your own needs and do take out time for yourself. So there comes a point where where the person goes through isolation and loneliness as well. So apart from these things, there is a very relevant impact that caregivers go through, that is the guilt. There is in our everyday life, whenever someone plays the role of a caregiver, the person automatically puts himself in an above position where he or she needs to take care of someone, and he has or she has already set expectations in their head, like I have to give certain amount, I have to do this to the person, I have to do that to the person, I need to take care of his physical needs, I need to take care of his medical needs, and like the medicines, the every other thing, right? So in that expectation, there comes a point when where the caregiver is not being able to fulfill, those expectations that he or she has set for himself, while giving those while assisting the needs of a patient or someone who is in need. So in that circle, there comes a point where the person goes through guilt when he or she is unable to fulfill the needs and the expectation that he has or she has put on himself. So so that guilt and the resentment also come, and guilt also comes when there comes a point where you take care of someone to such an extent when you want to take care of yourself. That comes a point where you be like, when people are like, the caregivers are like, am I being shallow, am I being selfish enough by taking care of myself? you know I instead, like, I should be taking care of the person, he is in much more need of my assistance and stuff like that. But we all need to understand the importance of putting prioritizing our own mental health first. It's not a selfish deed, or it's not a selfish thought. It's just that when you put your own oxygen mask first, you tend to save other people more. So when you try to take care of yourself better, you tend to give out and reach out help to more people in a much much better way. In the same way also, when you take care of your mental health, you provide better assistance, you provide better help, and you genuinely provide better energy to people with whom you are assisting on day to day life. So yeah, that's all I have to say. And like, before going to the webinar, I before like joining the webinar, I was also trying to search some positive impact. Is there like positive impact of being a caregiver? So there are some studies which have shown, like, there is like a feeling of fulfillment. Let's just say I am taking care of someone like my brother or my mother who needs assistance, right? So when I take care of them, uh, and they got better, it gives me a sense of fulfillment. It gives me a feeling of confidence. It boosts the overall boosts the fulfillment level, the purpose. And there's another study which also shows that when the caregiver and the patient do really have a close bond together, they share a closeness because of the role that the person is playing. So yeah, I mean, like, there are more negative impact for prolonged caregiving on the mental health, but there are some relevant studies which also shows the positive side of it. So that's all I have for my side.
Thank you so much for your beautiful insights. I'm sure we could all benefit from that. Um, you
Thank
could
you so much.
see, like in the field, like of healthcare, even of nurses, of the attendants, like attendants of patients, having so much of stress, having so much of guilt for not being able to do their work on time. Yet when we do, we still do that because we do feel this need for helping others, for our family, for our friends, which does create a bond for life, basically. So I
Right.
guess we can, yeah. So I guess we can go to the next question, which is how can caregivers recognize signs of burnout and mental exhaustion in themselves?
Anshuman, I'd like to go with that question. So,
Okay.
as Yeja mentioned, that it is caregivers play a very important role, and specifically when it comes to looking after someone, and it takes a really toll, like hard toll on you. Like you have to look after someone, you have to make sure that person is eating on time, and then specifically if it's about chronic illness, then from time to time you have to like keep in mind that the timetable is maintained, and also like whenever like there is a like slight change in schedule, it might affect the person who is sick. And so like caregivers, when it comes to like caregivers going through something, they're just like Yeja mentioned, they might go through some guilt. Like if they feel like they might think that I'm tired now, should I just take a nap? And then there's this guilt, like if I take a nap, who is going to look after the person, right? And then if I just look after myself, is it ignoring them, or is it like putting myself above them and just not, paying attention to them? So, like when it comes to recognizing, signs of burnout or mental exhaustion, there are basically a few things a caregiver needs to pay attention to. So basically, first of all, it comes to our physical health. So whenever a person is a caregiver, specifically is going through a burnout or mental exhaustion, the person might be, feeling tired all the time, or might not be able to eat properly, or there might be also behavioral changes like, getting irritated or getting agitated, or, specifically when it comes to, taking care of the person or looking after the person, the caregiver has irritation or agitation with, why do I need to, do all this? Why am I going through all this? So this is something the caregiver needs to pay attention to. That comes under behavioral changes. Also, emotional signs are there. Whenever the caregiver cries a lot, or specifically, there are also signs like, not being empathetic to like empathic to that person. And decreased empathy is there. Like why should I just put myself in his shoes? Why is that not person not putting himself in under my shoes? Or should I just pay attention to only myself? Okay. And then also like there are also decreased appetite, specifically like you don't have, want to eat properly. And then like there is also like problems in the sleep cycle. You don't have like the caregiver doesn't get proper sleep. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Alankrita. There is a lot of sacrifice which comes into playing the caregiver role, and I'm sure this webinar will highlight some of them. Does Yeja have any opinion on the subject as well of what Alankrita mentioned?
Sorry, I was being unable to mute myself.
Uh,
Anshuman, I actually lost my internet a little bit in the between. Can you please tell me like what was the question?
do you have any opinion on what Alankrita said about the feelings of guilt, the able to not give a break to yourself, the like as an attendant, suppose you can't, you're feeling guilty of taking naps, feeling guilty of not able to help. To, is this feeling of selfishness which comes is in the role of a caregiver when the caregiver has to take care of themselves, and how does one recognize those coming
Right,
and how to
right. Yes, I think I did talk about the guilt aspect in the beginning of the session as well. Like, yes, there is definitely the sense of guilt that comes because, like I said before, when you are playing the role of a caregiver, you automatically tend to put yourself in that hierarchy, which is on the top, where you think that you are the sole person who needs to like fulfill the need of the another person, right? So like Alamkrita said, you have to be mindful about their eating timetable, their medicine timetable, and all other different aspects of their regular life. So when we talk about that, obviously if a person obviously if a person is putting the other person's needs on top of his, there are times where the other person may feel a sense of guilt when he or she think of taking even a nap, or think even of going out and meeting people, even like in small small things where he or she is putting himself, prioritizing himself and his need. But we should also understand where is that need, where is that guilt coming from. It is coming from a place where people think that since they are playing the role of a caregiver, they are the one who needs to be unconditionally available, unconditionally, taking care of the patient, or the person who is in need. But like I said before, you can only save others, you can only help other when you are fully equipped enough to assist someone else, right? So in that part, in that point, no, it is not selfish if you take care of yourself. If you take out an hour, or if you take out an evening for yourself to take care of your own mental health and of your own well-being, and then bouncing back as a role of a caregiver and putting even more, better actions in the life of someone else. So yeah, that's all I have to share.
Definitely, I agree with you. And I would also like to add that the delegation of tasks is also an option. Sometimes one one caregiver is not enough, even if it feels like that. That I need only I understand this person. I need to take care of him. Sometimes one needs to step out of that role and take a break, and needs to find other professional help, find family, find anybody who can help, and which might
Absolutely.
be difficult. Yeah.
Yeah.
So delegation of tasks is also quite important when
True,
taking care
true,
of somebody who in serious conditions. I
true, true.
guess Alankita is gone for now.
Yeah.
I guess she will try
Yes,
to
yes, I
rejoin
think she
when
is
possible.
facing an internet issue. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think so too. Um, so should we continue with the next question, or should we?
Yes, yes. I think she
Okay.
will join us. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. All right. So the next question which we have prepared is, how can caregivers prioritize their own mental health without feeling guilty about taking time away from their
Hmm.
caregiving duties? Okay, Alankita's back, so I guess I'll repeat the question once more. Okay. Hello.
I'm
Uh,
so sorry I had a internet problem.
yeah, that's okay. So I'll repeat the question. How can caregivers prioritize their own mental health without feeling guilty about taking time away from their caregiving duties?
Anshuman, like I've been saying about the guilt factor. So the feeling of guilt comes from a place where you put yourself in unrealistic situation and expectations, where you think that you are the sole person and you should give someone the unconditional assistance, help, love, care to someone, sacrificing your own, own health and own mental health. So that is a place where guilt come from, because there is a high level of unrealistic expectations that you have set for yourself. So how do you prioritize now that thing? Like I have been talking, and we all have been talking about the feeling of guilt, or the feeling that we think that, am I being selfish if I take care of myself first? So when we, like now we understood where is the guilt coming from. Now if we see how do we prioritize our mental health, we'll have to first unlearn the whole thing of the the whole unrealistic expectations that we set for ourselves. First we have to unlearn that we are going to take care of someone and everyone, whoever is in need. But we have to understand that we can only serve others when we are fully equipped, when we are fully taken care of, because a person who is a caregiver is also a mother, is also a working woman in a organization, is also a daughter to his or her father and mother, is also a mother. So a caregiver is just one role that a person plays. There are multiple identity, there are multiple role that a person also plays in day-to-day life. So in that sense, the first thing we need to do is to understand and to and to have a better understanding that taking care of oneself is not a selfish action, it's not a selfish deed. So when you understand, when you have the understanding of that, that how important it is to take care of yourself, then the whole sense of guilt, the feeling of guilt will decrease, because you know you're taking care of yourself, because you will bounce back as a role of a caregiver. And this time you will, you know, provide better assistance without getting a burnout anytime soon, because you have been taking care of yourself. So when you have that understanding, the feeling of guilt automatically somewhere decreases, you know. Then you have a better understanding, you have learned it in a better in a adequate way, where you understand that I'm doing this to myself so that I can perform better as a caregiver when I have to perform that role. So yes, first thing first, importance of understanding that taking care of your own mental health. Second thing is that set a very realistic, not unrealistic, but a very realistic expectation. To what extent can you help someone, to what extent can you provide assistance? The third is communication. It is, like I said in the beginning of the session, it gets lonely when you have been taking care of someone, when you have been apart from yourself, when you're taking care of someone on a daily basis, it does get lonely, because you don't get time. To be very honest, you don't get time, because you are performing your roles as well, and you're performing someone else's roles as well. So in that part, in that time, you do get a lot of, you know, feeling a sense of loneliness and emptiness, and feelings of these things. But the only way to channelize and to cope up with these feelings is that communication. We need to have the social support in our life, where you can share about how you're feeling and how you're doing. And you know, have a it can be anyone, it can be your friend circle, it can be your family relatives, it can even be a professional, a therapist or a counselor, or a psychologist as well. You can you can reach out to them and talk about your feelings and what you're going through. Because we all know, like, talking is a way through which you express your feelings, right? Through which you express your inner side and whatever that is going through. So with the sense of loneliness, if you talk, if you unbottle yourself, if you communicate about your feelings with what you're going through, and how are things back at home, and how you're performing as a caregiver, it will somewhere help you to understand yourself better and to understand your role better. Apart from that, how to prioritize your mental health, one can even be doing, you know, exercise. One can even be doing uh, relaxation techniques, such as breathing techniques that we do, you know, inhaling and holding the oxygen for some seconds and then letting it out, you know, doing some sort of relaxation technique. There's a very famous technique that we call JPMR, where we, you know, where clinician do it in the sessions, where the main prior goal of the main goal of the whole thing is that to put yourself in a state of relaxation. So everyone has different understanding of relaxation, and everyone's needs are different. So some are comfortable with yoga, some are comfortable with JPMRI. So whatever your own technique it is to find relaxation, one can reach out to that, one can practice that. And if then also, if you're feeling a lot of guilt, a lot of less of motivation and stuff like that, I think that is the point where you should seek professional help. If not, none of that helps, in if none of that actually helps you, and you have been ruminating, or you have been going through the same thing, there's a high level of stress, there's a high level of anxiety in you, then I think you should seek professional help, definitely. Because the insights that a friend or a relative will give you in your day-to-day life is far, far, far different what a counselor or what a mental health professional will provide you. You know, it's just a better, it's just they'll provide you with, you know, scientifically better insight, and for you to regulate your daily life in a better way. So yeah, I think these are the few things that I have. I hope it helps. So yeah, that's all from my end.
So, to summarize, Number one, I think the one sentence we can all take on from today is to put our own masks on first before putting it on others. Number two is setting realistic expectations. Number three is to communicate, to share, to talk about your problems with anybody. And number four is physical exercise, whatever it is, like yoga, exercise, relaxation techniques, etc. And last but not least, seek professional help. So these are the 5 ways we can deal with burnout. And if you have any opinion, you can give Alankita.
So, actually, Yeja has pretty much sum up the question actually. But also there, I would like to add something there when it comes to taking care of someone specifically. So a caregiver also goes through the guilt of when it comes the caregiver comes from a financially weak background. So, coming from a financially weak background, it is very difficult, to look after someone because when you have to look after someone financially, it takes a lot of, uh, uh, financially you have to like make a lot of, take, when it comes to medication or when it comes to, checkups or treatments. So financial uh, background should is a very must. Like I'm sorry. So
Yeah, I think it makes sense. I think it makes sense because again, like our whole mental health is dependent on financial health. So
yeah,
if you're financially not strong, then again there comes the degradation of your whole mental health, and
yes,
it just correlates somewhere, because like some people, and it depends on people to people as well. Some people, the expectations they have in their life are not materialistic in nature, so even if they have less in their life, their mental health is better. But some people
yeah,
in this century, in this generation, I think we have pretty much a very materialistic point of view, where we do think like, you know only if we have materialistic items with us, then only we can be happy, then only we can have the sense of happiness, or feeling of confidence in us, right? It's somewhere like we try to really correlate with our mental health and the financial, or the materialistic things that we own. But yes, that's definitely true. I think what Alamkrita is trying to say is that, you know as a caregiver, when you have to play the role of a caregiver, plus if you come from a weaker section of, if you come from a weaker economical section of the society, then it's even more hard, because you have to be the breadwinner of the house. Second, you need to also take care of someone, and we all know that it is not easy. The medication, the medication or the medical treatments and everything, it comes to a heavier financial cost. So yes, I think we lost Alankrita again, but I
Yeah,
think that's pretty much what she was trying to explain.
definitely. We have not explored the financial dimension of this entire
True, true, true.
aspect yet. Yeah, and she is definitely right. There are many difficult decisions which have to be made. Many things have to be sacrificed for healthcare, for time. You have to give time, which also cuts into your finances. You, like nowadays, though, we don't get that many holidays. Like the corporate sector, they don't give too many holidays, so we have to cut into that as a caregiver. And then what if the caregiver gets sick himself or herself? And it does a lot of decisions. And also would like to add from my side that a lot of people, especially in lower economic background, they don't have knowledge about health insurance, or maybe they think
True,
health insurance is like something which they're wasting money on. We're just paying extra.
true,
But in
true, true.
hindsight, it helps a lot, and people should really invest in at least some sort of health insurance.
True.
There don't need to be like there doesn't need to be a glamorous health insurance which will cover everything, but at least like government subsidized health insurances are available in the market for
Yeah,
everyone as their own needs.
yeah, for
That's
everyone,
another,
yes.
yeah, that's another thing I would also like to add. And So, should we wait for Ankita or should we go to the next question?
I think she's having a really difficult network
Yeah,
out there. Yeah, even the
yeah,
weather is not that good. Maybe that's why.
yeah, 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 yeah.
I think the before like we move on, I mean on the financial part, I would also like to add. I mean, Alankita did mention a very important aspect,
Mm-hmm,
like
mm-hmm.
when we talk about the financial thing, like I said, the person who's playing the role of a caregiver, we need to understand the word itself says giving, right? We are giving out ourselves to the other person. You are basically taking care and giving someone the assistance and the help. When it comes to that, I the thing is that the caregiver is one role of their life. Like I said before, he or she is an employee in the office. He or she is a dad to someone or a mother to someone, right? So there are multiple roles that the person or like the person have to play. In that case, when on top of that, if the person also have the financial burden on themselves, like to take care of the household and to take care of the whole situation out there, so it adds up on their mental health. And definitely there are a lot of downfall to the whole mental health of the caregiver. And that is why it is so important to talk about the mental health of a caregiver and how it does impact them. And to be honest, they do really silently suffer because they do prioritize the health of someone else so much that they do suffer on a regular basis. So yeah, that's all I had to add.
All right. Ankita isn't back yet, so I think her internet situation is
Yeah, we can move
some troublesome.
ahead.
We can go
She
on to the
can.
next question.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, okay. So the next question which I've prepared is: what are some effective strategies for managing a caregiver's mental health?
Effective strategies, like I said before, first thing first, communicate. Take breaks. Please take breaks. I know it can be a very daunting, it can be a very energy giving role to play as a caregiver, and even as a mental health professional. We are also caregivers to people. But then there are people who work uh, who work completely for individual patients and individual clients. For them, I think it is highly important for you to take breaks. Encourage yourself to take regular breaks for so that you can be recharged and you can take adequate amount of rest so that you can perform better and so that you can give better. Apart from rest, I think it is very important to talk about self care here. And self care can be anything. Self care can be just sitting quietly in your favorite spot in the house or outside and just having a cup of tea by yourself, engaging with a few friends of yours, or being alone. Because it depends on people to people. Some people are completely fine having times alone, and some people are completely fine doing it. Alankrita is back. Sorry, Alankrita, we were talking about the next question. I think Anshuman, you can repeat the question to Alankrita once.
Yeah, sure. I'll repeat the question. What are some effective strategies for managing a caregiver's mental health? And till now, Yeja has mentioned taking sufficient breaks for oneself and having some self care strategies for oneself. Everyone has different strategies. How to
Yeah, so
like
I was
some
talking
have
about,
some. Go ahead. Go ahead.
yes. Yeah. So I was basically talking about self-care. And self-care, I know self-care sounds to be a very fancy word these days because of the Instagram and social media. But
Yes.
self-care can be anything. It can be having a cup of tea or a coffee at your favorite spot, just sitting there, taking out some time for yourself. Taking a good long shower can be a self-care. Sleeping an extra 2 hours can be a self-care as well. What it's just basically means whatever makes you feel energized, whatever makes you feel boosted, is basically your self out. Getting enough rest, eating well, doing your favorite exercise, doing your favorite activity, be it painting, dancing, whatever it is. Just taking out some time for yourself, taking break is basically what I was trying to say. And the last thing, and I think it's again going to repeat, I'm going to again focus on, maintaining a social connection, because it does get lonely when you are
Yes.
when you're completely
Yes,
hacked
it
up
is
with
very
uh
important.
yes. Yeah, you can
So it is
definitely
very,
add on.
yeah. Okay. Okay. So it is very important because specifically when looking after someone, it gets lonely, like you mentioned, and we
Yeah,
tend to socialize less when we like are like caregivers are very when caregivers tend to feel like I don't need to socialize, I just need to be
yeah.
I am sit and like think about how could I work on taking care of the person or looking after the person and making the person feel better. But it
Mm-hmm.
is, I personally feel like it is very important to talk to someone, not if not going to therapy. If it sometimes people might find it difficult to seek professional help. So, and that's totally okay. That's totally okay. But then there are also people they can just talk to, or they can just open up about their, feelings or their emotions, and that actually helps. We just want, not we, but like the caregivers actually, they want people to listen to them, to listen the things they are going through. Sometimes it's like they don't want opinions, or they don't want their problems to be solved. They just want someone to listen to what they have been going through, or just talk about the things they have been feeling, and that somehow actually makes them feel better, and that is something very that is a very important thing to do. Even though it might be difficult to socialize, even though we might feel like as like personally, if I am a caregiver and if I feel like I should just stop talking to people and just sit here and think about the person all the time, and you know think about how I'm all the things I'm going through. So sometimes it gets overwhelming. It gets overwhelming, and then
True,
overwhelming ends up with overthinking all the time.
true,
So
true.
when a person overthinks, a lot of things comes to that person's mind. So it is very important to talk to someone about the things a person is going through, or like about the part day. Like it is also okay to mention like you're exhausted when you're if you're like taking care of someone, you're mentally exhausted, or you feel like it is taking a toll on your mental health, and that's totally okay. And that's not something to be ashamed of, or that's not being selfish. At the end of the day, we are all human beings, and we all have our own personal you know we have our own feelings, emotions, and they all are valid. It's not like because you are the caregiver you have to be a robot. You don't have you cannot have feelings, you cannot get angry, you cannot get frustrated. It is very important to remember that, mentioning again, that we are human beings, and we all have feelings and emotions, and we all might go through a tough time.
Completely agreed. I think what Alankrita said makes so sense. Like, whenever we talk about being a caregiver to someone, we always put ourselves to a pedestal level with where we think that we are the sole reason, we are the sole, person who needs to give all sort of care and assistance to someone, and we are going to be the sole provider of everyone, basically everything, to that one particular person. But it's just like we are all human being. Even the person whom you're taking care of is also a human being. You are also a human being, and we all do have feelings and emotion. Just because there is someone who is suffering on a higher intensity than yours, it doesn't invalidate your feelings, your emotion, your own needs on a regular basis. So yes, I think that's pretty much it. And yeah, what Alankrita said makes so much of sense.
So to summarize, some effective strategies for taking care of the for not taking care of the caregiver is to take enough breaks, to schedule breaks, to put time aside for self care, to connect, to share with others, to not feel ashamed, to understand that it is only human, we are only human, we can only do so much, and to not think that just because the other person is suffering more, our suffering, that does not invalidate our suffering. Uh, it makes us heroic, makes our sacrifice matter, but in the end, we should know that we are just human. We can be broken sometimes, and we need to find strategies to take care of that. So, is there anything else? Okay. So, yeah, we have been streaming for a while, and it's been 40 minutes. So, I guess that will be all for today. Unless you guys want to say anything else.
No, I
Okay.
think, yeah, we pretty much touched all the
Yeah.
topics,
Yeah.
and I would like highly, it's not an advice, it's not a suggestion, it's just a word from myself, from my side. Please
Mm-hmm.
fix your own oxygen mask before helping someone else. You need to take care of yourself first, then you can definitely 110 times perform better to
Mm-hmm.
be that person in someone's life whom you have unrealistically set in your head to be that person. You can definitely
Mm-hmm.
be that person if you first take care of yourself. So I think, yes, that's all from my side.
All right. Find your own oxygen mask. That's what we can take away from today. Alankita, any last words?
I think
Yeah.
Yeja is like pretty much wrapped up everything.
Mhm. Okay. So yeah, thank you for your insights. Before we end our live stream, we would also like to thank our viewers who have joined us today and all the support that PsychSpace has got, both on YouTube and Instagram. Thank you so much for supporting us. For any queries and professional support, please do not hesitate to reach out on Insta or on the PsychSpace website or on YouTube. We are just one DM away. Do not hesitate. Don't worry, it's a safe space. Okay, everyone. I think we can wrap it up for the day. I hope this
Yeah, thank you
webinar was
so much,
informative.
Anshuman, for having us.
Thank you. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Okay. Bye bye.